I just redid the whole studio, and since I haven't done anything in about a year, I don't really have any huge, big, specific materials for our next project. So we're going to do something easy that I've done before and that I'm really good at doing. Today, we're making a new Spider-Man mask. Right, so to get things started, we've got this scrap bit of black lycra fabric, and it looks like this space here is going to be just enough to make a mask out of. First thing we're going to do is grab my trusty paper template, and unfortunately I can't upload this so that you guys can download it. So what I recommend you do is check out Ryan Alzate, because he makes similar patterns, or you can make a pattern kind of like this. So first thing we're going to do here is fold our fabric in half. Now, what we want to do is give ourselves enough space to lay the template with this whole flat nose side against the seam and have this not come out to the edge. So it looks like we have even a little more than we need. So let's just pull this back a little bit. So now, since we're using black fabric, we're gonna need a silver Sharpie to trace this out. Right, so now that we've got this all traced out, we're just going to cut around the outside of the edge with the fabric scissors. Alright, so now that we got this outside edge pinned, we're going to sew that together. But there's a couple things. There's this dart cut out right here, and then there's this edge right here, which we're going to sew together second, which we'll talk about later. But here's the good thing about using this template. You don't have to deal with any of that. You can just sew all the way around this edge, except for the bottom, and then call it good. So we're going to get working on sewing this right now. So this first stitch here is fairly straightforward. It's just a basic zigzag stitch, and the only reason it's a zigzag instead of a straight stitch is because when I've used a straight stitch in the past, it doesn't make the seam as stretchy when I go to put the mask on. So for this next stitch, what you're going to want to do is sort of pinch the dart together with your fingers, kind of like this, and then you can pin it together if you want, and then just sew it together on both layers of the mask. And it's the same sort of process for the two throat seams there. And then once you're done with that, the whole mask will be sewn together. But like I said, if you're doing this simple pattern, all you have to do is sew once all the way around the perimeter, and then you're good. Alright, so we've got our mask all the way sewed together, so let's just try it on real quick. Hold up. Alright, so looks like it fits pretty good. So now what we're going to do is mark out the eye holes and cut some little circles just so I can see through them. And then we'll cut them bigger later once we glue the lenses on. Alright, oh boy, that stings a little bit. Alright, so now we're just going to take our fabric scissors once again and just cut out these eye holes. Jesus. I look like I'm about to go rob a bank or something. So, doesn't look like a superhero yet. We gotta fix that. Let's make the lenses. Alright, so for our lenses, all we're gonna need is some 2mm craft foam, some mesh, and some sort of glue. So, the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, draw out your lens shape onto your foam. Now, what I like to do first is make a paper template, which I have tons of. So I'm gonna sift through those, see if there's any I already have that I like, and if not, we'll draw a new one. Alright, I guess we're drawing a new lens. So with these lens frames cut out, the next thing we have to do is glue the mesh behind it. So what I normally do with this mesh, because it's so thin, as you can clearly see, is layer it up 2 or 3 times and then glue all of those layers behind the lens so that it's truly opaque. But what Alright, so this lens to mesh job here is pretty simple. You just spread the hot glue on the underside of the lens, and after you've spread out the mesh, you can glue the lens right on there, on top of some parchment paper, of course. And then when it dries, it should be able to peel right off, and then you can cut out the excess mesh, and then those are your lenses. Alright, so now that we're gonna glue these lenses on, we of course need a mannequin to do it. So I made this mannequin really sketchily, and I absolutely do not recommend making it the way I did. I made a spandex mask, put it on, and then wrapped my head in duct tape. Absolutely do not recommend that. It is very unsafe. Luckily I had my mother's help, but don't do it. Just buy a foam mannequin. They're only like 10 bucks. But anyway, the point is, now we're gonna glue these lenses onto the mask like that with just more hot glue and see how that goes. Alright, should just about do it. So now, we're just gonna cut out the extra black fabric on the inside of the white part of the lens, and then we can try it on. Boom. Alright, looks like it fits pretty good. So the last thing that we need to do before the mask is done is put the webs on it. So sometimes what I do is apply them with puffy paint, like a fabric 3-dimensional paint. I don't want to do that this time though, because I want to get this done, just quick, So what I'm going to do is just use a silver Sharpie. Look at that. All over my head. I was trying to revive a Sharpie, and it sort of worked, but, this is what it is. So that's going to be about it for our first project back. It's probably going to be a few videos before I get back in full swing of making props at a quality that I'm able to do. But little steps, So, thank you guys so much for watching and for sticking with me after my year-long break. And we'll see you in the future.